At the end of fall 2022, the world's population crossed the 8 billion mark. By comparison, back in 1990 the world population was only 5.294 billion, and in 1800 it was 1 billion. This unprecedented growth, according to scientists, is due to an increase in life expectancy, better healthcare, hygiene, nutrition, and other living conditions. However, it appears that the number of people will not increase for long. According to some experts, the population will reach its peak in the next few decades, after which the number of people on the planet will begin to decline. And by 2100, that number may drop to 6 billion people. The authors of a recent analysis give two scenarios for the possible development of the situation: optimistic and pessimistic. Scientists believe that due to good economic development and improvements in medicine and education, the global population will grow to 8.5 billion people by 2040. But after that, growth will stop, and the population will gradually begin to shrink to 6 billion people in 2100. But that is assuming that governments manage to solve economic problems and reduce the gap between rich and poor people. Under the second, pessimistic scenario, population growth continues until 2050, reaching 8.6 billion people. By 2100, it would be 7.3 billion. This is the opinion of members of the Club of Rome, an international public organization that is a think tank. According to researchers, the most important factor in population change is economic development. As the economic situation in developing countries improves, fertility will decrease. Currently, large population growth is observed in some countries in Africa and Asia. If the governments of these countries succeed in overcoming economic problems earlier, their populations will also reach their peak earlier. This is because girls have access to education, and then women get jobs. They also have access to healthcare and contraception. But, according to researchers, it is not only economic development of poor countries that will lead to a decrease in the world's population. The destruction of natural resources, the food crisis and the abuse of the environment will also play a role. The Club of Rome reports on this in its report. According to researchers, the obstacle to global well-being is not population growth. The problem is the super high level of material wealth among the 10% of the richest people on the planet. For example, the ecological situation is not at all disastrous in those countries where there is high population growth, but where the population reached its peak many decades ago. Therefore, according to the researchers, there can only be general well-being if the wealthy elite reduce their use of resources. Of course, following the peak of population growth, the negative impact on climate and nature will diminish to some extent. But the overall problems of the planet will not be solved by population decline. Moreover, a number of new problems will be added, such as an aging population, which will increase the burden on healthcare. In fact, the problem of aging has already begun to be felt, especially in countries such as Japan and South Korea. In addition, humanity may face a labor shortage. A few years ago, the UN also predicted population decline in a few decades, but it was bleaker. According to it, humanity should reach its peak by 2064, with 9.7 billion people on the planet, but then decrease to 8.8 billion by 2100. Such data was published in The Lancet.